Christina Univer Citizen presents In the Beginning, October 1st, 2023. Education as a function of Omnirational, Omniconsiderate Universe. Once any human is informed that there is a brain inside their head, protected by the skull, that individual would have no logical reason to deny it, even though, and similar to any unseen internal life-sustaining organ, heart, lungs, liver, stomach, etc., the brain is essential to all aspects of observing, articulating, thinking, living, and communicating self to others. Photographs of a human brain illustrate this unfamiliar shape and form that function without necessity of seeing what it looks like. And so, for the most part, humans exist without having to know that they have a brain, taking it for granted. We learn everything because each of us has a brain, which is also knowable as a cerebral circuitry design. Learning that the brain, which is entirely physical, is not the same as the mind, which is not physical, takes getting used to. Once differentiated, thus, physical brain from metaphysical mind, intellect appreciates the clarifying information, even though the physical brain inside its skull, which neither is seen, not actually sensed, nor is the metaphysical mind visual, the human's intellection begin to understand the importance of its intelligent existence as an individual who, from birth, is naturally equipped with the necessary organs and a mind for evolving as an evolution being in universe. This means to say that humans are designed to coexist with cerebral circuits that include the ability to physically sense the momentary visible and invisible environment. There are 5 senses that are essential for smelling, hearing, seeing, touching, tasting events of various sizes, the shapes, the odors, the flavors in the physical environment. Again, we do not have to know these senses exist in order to use them for differentiating the loudness, the hardness, the softness, the sights and sounds all around in the visible and momentarily invisible environment of our coexistence as humans on Earth in universe. The physical brain circuits signal to nerves in the human anatomy functioning to sense time-size events. The human mind is not physical, but together with its physical brain circuits, intellect observes the environment of events that are articulating in variously tune-inable frequencies. A metaphysical conceptuality is independent of size. Physical sensing is dependent on the mind's metaphysical conceptuality when intellect's innate curiosity is interested in knowing more about aspects of coexistence on Earth in universe. And so, metaphysical intellect learns that its mind can conceptualize patterns in the physical environment once informed of this function as information gathering mentality. One's mentality is defined as the capacity for intelligent thought, a characteristic way of thinking that is natural to humans as an evolution species equipped with a brain, a mind, imagination ability to formulate conceptually. Formulating a thought, in other words, depends on the brain and the mind, and recognizing this function correlates to information gathering with a conscious intention to solve local problems. Otherwise, the capacity of intelligent thought and the imagination's inherent ability to formulate conceptually could be misdirected as a local problem maker, using the essential faculties for destructive purpose, not constructive purposes. Logically, then, not only does everyone alive have a brain and a metaphysical mind, but when the brain is unimpaired, not damaged somehow, it is designed in principle to mentally collect required data that inform its faculty of systemic thought, what may be relevantly or irrelevantly of specific concern correlating to survival. In the broadest sense, it is the survival of our coexisting, evolving species, humans of a mind. And more specifically, data collection gathered cosmic to local information is self-survival in a world of increasingly more complicated problems. This is when the human personality contributes its observations and articulations to the universal communications process. Therefore, it is enlightening to learn a quotation from R. Buckminster Fuller's essay Total Thinking, 1949, in his book Ideas and Integrities. In quotes, the continuity of conscious life becomes personality as a product of complex periodic interactions known as cycles or periodic recurrences of a higher frequency order. Even though the evolving clarity referential to his uniquely observed articulation concerning personality is not initially fathomed to the discerning depth of integrating differentiations, awareness of it directs the human mind to figure it out, applicably to any use of the term personality. The human's individual personality, for potentially clarified reasons, could reject awareness of its own mind because it is not visible, not illustrated, not pictured as the human brain is shown. This can also cause doubt in the communications process, with concerns about teaching informing human individuals to accredit both physical brain and one's own metaphysical mind, when the academic world has differently oriented interests that more obviously rejects the correct use of the word metaphysical. Therefore, it is important in the educating environment to employ the words metaphysical and physical with respect to the human intellect that requires this basic knowledge for differentiating size, time size, dimensions, frequency of physical universe from metaphysical universes sizeless, timeless, subfrequency. Subfrequency means independent of time and size. Synergetics 1011.32. Primarily because nature's coordinate system is both realized physically and conceptualized metaphysically, that in relatively fewer steps brings to mind the vector equilibrium geometry, the subfrequency prime tetra, prime octa, and prime icosa, correlating to metaphysical mind's generalized conceptual intellectual functions as a local problem solver of omnirational universe. Awareness of systems and consciousness evolution require the human's brain and its mind to observe self coexisting with others as a potential local problem solver in support of universal integrity that also requires the energy of systems for energy of life on Earth. Logically, if humans coexist only to reject universal integrity of systems, the energy of life on Earth, not to be in support of universe's regenerating patterning integrity, deciding instead to deny its own brain's cerebral circuitry design and its own metaphysical mind, would such a decision induce one's own developing personality to be in support of problem-making scenarios? We can recall the continuity of the human being's conscious life becoming a developing personality as a product of complex periodic interactions known as cycles, or periodic recurrences of a higher frequency order, before actually deciphering what those scientific terms define in the natural course of events. What is later discovered is the correlation to zero, from whence the mathematical word cipher derived, that the individual intellect may find intrinsically more familiar, not rejecting some future clarification once the more precise terminology appealed to intellect's innate sense of self's natural problem solving and self-survival ability correlating to its developing personality. The human brain's cerebral circuits cognize what the individual observer's metaphysical mind recognizes. This happens as the reenacting articulations convey the experience to brains tuned in circuits, all of which is not wholly, WHOLLY, conscious to the nth degree of comprehension. Mostly, this is occurring at rates of change and the numbers, in lag rates unique to the individual conceptual and reasoning faculty of thought from earliest childhood throughout a whole lifetime on Earth in universe. Educators face great responsibilities now that so much more is known in the 21st century. It is wiser, all things considered, to admit systems thinking, which also introduces the child to general systems, quantum reality. Since we now know of the minimum structural systems, vectorial, geometry, and topology, the basic elements that describe the eternal, regenerating, patterning integrity of universe, that the human metaphysical conceptualizes independent of size, awareness that it is size alone that can come to zero, not the conceptuality, suggests a totally different learning environment for our evolving species than was heretofore unknown. Comprehensive Universe and Synergetics 326.30 and Synergetics 326.40, Metaphysical and Physical Summary are invaluable teaching tools for clarifying systemic thoughts awareness as evolutionary advanced from previous explicated but relatively inadequate realities. Those realities are compatible with the PRJWBCHM, politics, religion, justice, war, belief complexes, hierarchical matrix. It is the inherited contextual parameter that most humans are not aware of as the least economic way systems can behave relative to unity and self in universe. Clearly, Universe combines the essential evolution, information, and conceptioning that not only was undiscovered during earlier experimental survival conditions on Earth, it is intentionally invalidated so that political persuasions can infiltrate the education systems, knowing that this is where the future commences to be controlled by the self-serving authority whose ambitions compete to win at any cost, even if the exploitations could result in relatively mindless, clueless human populations, slaves to the slave master's profit motivations. In view of the absences of forethought, of cosmic to local generalized content of disseminated information that in the education institutions has been boldly, defiantly supplanted by wokeism, ignorance, and all distortions of the readily adaptable, uninformed mentality that reacts to political persuasions which promise benefit will derive therefrom to accumulate by controlling predominantly physical behavior. It competes with as yet unclarified emulations, energy events of universe. The quantum of energy that is conceptualized as one tetrahedron universe's minimum structural system, the first subdivision of it, cannot be emulation, carbon copies of the eternal regenerating pattern integrity, since energy regenerates universe's system's pattern integrity of one quantum that consists of 24 quantum modules. Each one topologically describes 6 vectors, 4 vertexes, 4 triangular openings. The energy must be integral to universe's regenerating integrity as a subatomic particle, the proton and neutron, the vectorial positive negative minimum structural system. Those energy quanta involve gravity and radiation, the highest reachable limits, turning inside to outside and outside to inside. This is not beyond transcendental metaphysical minds' decipherable interests, where initial zero size integrity of a conceptuality is compatible with human metaphysical intellect operating throughout a lifetime on Earth's education as a function of omnirational, Omniconsiderate universe. To be continued in the beginning 13. Thank you. Reference, Synergetics Table of Contents, Synergetics Figure Index, Synergetics 326.30 Comprehensive Universe, Synergetics 326.40 Metaphysical and Physical Summary, Synergetics 440.04, Synergetics 441, Synergetics 443 through 443.02, Synergetics 1011.32.